It's a beautiful night for baseball, and live from Miller Park in Milwaukee, Sportsnet LA presents the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Milwaukee Brewers in the first of a three-game series. Hi again, everybody. Charlie Steiner, Oral Hershiser. First, the big news. Clayton Kershaw, who's not scheduled to pitch until Friday night back at Dodger Stadium. He's got some lower back issues. He's going back to L.A. tomorrow to have a look-see, and so he's not going to be needed here in Milwaukee, going home for an examination tomorrow. Now to tonight. Of course, about 10 days ago, the Dodgers and the Brewers played a four-game series. Milwaukee won the first game. The Dodgers took the next three, and that propelled the Moral to a six-game winning streak.
Yeah, you know, when you begin a winning streak at home, all the fans get excited, the team gets excited, there's momentum. It was a very, very exciting series. There were a tremendous amount of runs, 21 from the Dodgers, 17 from Milwaukee. It seemed like the hits, they just keep on coming. The Dodger bullpen came through. The starters had a tough time at times, but the ball started to leave the yard, and especially for the Dodgers. Kike Hernandez was in it. Ryan Braun is having a big year. The home runs were clearing the blue wall out there, but the guy that really carried the Dodgers and started to show his RBIs, his potential as the three-hitter that we knew he always has, was Justin Turner. Amazing series for Justin. The power was there, the RBIs were there, and he started to carry the team. And then the excitement for the Dodger fan, the walk-off wins. Justin Turner single there, and Yasmani Grandal's walk-off walk. We hope that they can find this energy and those W's here in Milwaukee.
Boy, there's nothing more thrilling than a walk-off walk. Julio Urias is going to be making his seventh start for the Dodgers, and he keeps getting better and better.
He sure does. If you eliminate the first start and you start to look at his strikeout-to-walk ratio, this guy can get big league hitters out. 32 strikeouts, only 5 walks if you get rid of the start in New York at the beginning. And as he continues to progress, you understand he can get big league hitters out. And what he's learning now is the ball, when he keeps it on the plate, has enough movement and enough velocity to get guys out, and that will bring his pitch count down and allow him to go deeper into games.
So Urias, number 7 for starts in his big league career. Where he goes after this, we'll find out soon enough. Tonight, Adrian Gonzalez and Chase Utley have excelled here at Miller Park. They need to pick up their month of June, and this is a good place to do it. Welcome to Miller Park in Milwaukee, built in 2001, where the Dodgers have won 26 of the 48 games played here against the Brewers. First of a 3-game series, and our closed captioning is brought to you by First 5 California. Talk, read, sing, it changes everything. As the Brewers take the field, Milwaukee at 34-41, 15 games behind the Cubs. The Dodgers, winners of 7 of their last 10, are 42 up, 36 down. They trail the Giants by 7. And here is the starting lineup, brought to you by Honda, put together by manager Dave Roberts, who is in conference with the umpires. Home plate umpire tonight is Dan Bellino. Toby Basner is at first. It's Tom Hallian's crew. He'll be at second base. Phil Cuzzy is at third. So here's a lineup for the Dodgers, beginning with Chase Utley at second base. Utley, as Alana told you, has excelled over the years here at Miller Park. He has struggled, however, in the month of June. Howie Kendrick batting second and left, and Corey Seager, odds-on rookie of the year at the halfway point of the season, batting third. Gonzalez struggling through his worst month of his career this June. He's looking to turn it around here at Miller Park. Trace Thompson in right, Yasmani Grandal is catching, Jock Peterson in center field. Chris Taylor, who started at shortstop yesterday, batting 8th at third tonight. Julio Urias is pitching and batting 9th against a 28-year-old right-hander, Chase Anderson.
Chase Anderson has had a lot of time off. The last time he pitched was June 18th, back against these Dodgers, and they gave him a very short outing, 2 1/3 innings, 7 earned runs. So skipper Craig Counsell decided to give him a little extra rest to rest his arm. So the nightmare he had in LA, he's facing the same team, but at least he's facing them at home. You're going to see a fastball that'll top out around 92, 93. He'll sink it every once in a while. He'll cut it rarely. The curveball and the changeup are the out pitches, and the young man needs to throw more strikes. A lot of these Dodger hitters know him because, of course, he was a Diamondback.
Defensively playing in front of and behind Chase Anderson tonight, the big fella's Jonathan Lucroy. What a season he is having. Hitting .299 in April, 300 in May, and .299 in June, a model of consistency. And then around the infield, you've got Aaron Hill and Jonathan Villar. Jake Elmore just called up today at second base. Chris Carter at first. Braun, Broxton, and Perez in the outfield, and we are ready to go. It's a picture-perfect Tuesday night in Milwaukee. Game time temperature of 68 degrees. And so, of course, the roof is wide open. Utley stepping in. You see the big numbers he has had at Miller Park. However, in the month of June, he is hitting but .205. He's 15 for 73 this month, and looking to get untracked at a place that has served him well in his career, and he swings and misses. It's 0-1. You see the fall off. April, May, and June has been a struggle.
A couple of our older guys have had tough Junes with Adrian Gonzalez and Chase Utley, and Justin Turner starting to turn it on from the early struggles. Howie Kendrick kind of turning it around also.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
You think of what Chase Utley signed on for at the beginning of the year. It was more about moving around. Actually, before he signed back, said, you know, will you play a little third base? Of course, you're not probably going to be the starter at second. But then all of a sudden, when the injury rash came on and Chase was asked to drop into that leadoff hole.
And a fly ball well hit to center field. But drifting on back and making the catch is Keon Broxton. We're underway.
Chase has done some great things for the Dodgers. That fly out there starts the game, but he has been one of the catalysts early on. They just hope he can turn it around.
Now here's Howie Kendrick stepping in. Howie at .242 with 3 home runs and 14 runs batted in. First of a 3-game set. Anderson into the wild. Here's a strike. Woo! Been a hot couple of weeks for Kendrick. Slow chopper to second base. This is Jake Elmore, just called up today. Alex Presley was designated for assignment. 2 gone. Now here comes Corey Seager. Seager in the midst of a 10-game hitting streak, during which time he's hit .439. He's 18 for his last 41 with 7 doubles. Well, Seager, certainly a legitimate all-star candidate and a legitimate Rookie of the Year likelihood at this point. This is his 300th at bat. His 89 hits ranked him 4th in the league.
He has done everything that the Dodgers have asked of him, and in a very quiet way, but now he's beginning to make some noise.
Seager the day off yesterday, and it's 2-1. Oftentimes this year you had Utley leading off and Seager batting second. Tonight it's Seager batting third. And bouncing to first. Carter with the underhanded flip to Anderson, and the Dodgers are done in the first. When we come back, 19-year-old Julio Urias ready for his 7th big league start. Bottom half of the first in the Honda lineup put together by Craig Counsell, beginning with Jonathan VR just having a sensational season at .298 and leads the league with 26 stolen bases. Aaron Hill at third, Ryan Braun in left. Jonathan Lucroy, a model of consistency behind the plate. Chris Carter has 19 home runs, batting 5th at first. Hernan Perez is in right. Jake Elmore called up today at second base. Keon Broxton in center. Chase Anderson is pitching and batting 9th. Then here is Mr. Urias.
The 19-year-old on the mound with his 7th start, and he is getting better every single start. If you eliminate that first start, 32 strikeouts, only 5 walks in the next 5 starts, and his stuff is getting better. He's learning to live more on the plate, which is going to help his pitch count.
Under the knees.
Had a chat with his pitching coach Rick Honeycutt, and Rick is really working hard to keep him behind the baseball and to drive the ball into his 2 fastball lanes, away and in.
2-0. In Urias' last 4 starts, 0-1 and a .233 earned run average. Opponents are hitting just .243 against him. He has struck out 13. Fouls it off to the right. 2 balls and a strike. He's, let me correct myself, 13 strikeouts for every 9 innings and 1.86 walks for every 9 innings.
It's a great ratio, especially from a youngster, because they are usually trying to avoid the bat and are a little bit overwhelmed by big leaguer after big leaguer hitting off of them.
High and away, 3-1.
It's one thing to see guys on ESPN and see the game and think I can compete up there. It's another thing to have them standing in front of you in a batter's box.
And wouldn't you know it, he walks the leadoff hitter, VR. The Dodger defense playing behind the teenager beat Chris Taylor starting at third base tonight. Justin Turner with the night off. Taylor started at shortstop yesterday in Pittsburgh. He's got Seager next to him, Utley and Gonzalez on the right side of the infield, Kendrick Peterson and Thompson in the outfield, and Yasmani Grandal is behind the plate. Now here's Aaron Hill. This is one of these guys who has played so well for so long and under the radar between Toronto and Milwaukee. Takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Hill has 158 home runs in his career, 674 runs batted in. In 2009, he had 36 home runs and 108 RBIs in Toronto. Close play at first. But one of the things about Urias from the time we first saw him in his major league debut in New York, that was, of course, the return of Chase Utley, and the place was going crazy. He has rarely shown any outward signs of emotions. Very businesslike, and a very close play, and he picks him off.
And Villars leads the big leagues in stolen bases with 26. And this Brewer club leads the National League in stolen bases with 65. And looks like gets him on the wrist maybe before the fingernails get back. Well, they might give them some time and challenge that one.
So Craig Counsell waiting to hear from his tape room. He wants a replay.
This is a good angle, but I think the one actually behind the bag from the other angle is the better one. This one right here. Looks like he might just get in there.
Looks like they got a pretty good case. Toby Basner, the first base umpire, is a vacation reliever, and he and his boss Tom Halley and the crew chief are listening to the folks in New York. Replay Central.
The preciseness of the slide is the reason if they call him safe. Ultimately he gets back, because if he goes for the middle of the bag, Adrian's glove gets to him quicker. He gets back to the bag at the same amount of time, and all of a sudden he's out. But he goes for that back corner, which makes Adrian have to reach a little bit farther with the tag. That moment in time might have given him enough time to get back in there.
There are about 25 folks in Replay Central in Lower Manhattan, where they got dozens and dozens of monitors, and this is what they have determined. Safe at first, they got it right. And you've got 6 umpires and 6 technical people who are watching 2 games at a time, and then all of a sudden they see something amiss, and they get all sorts of angles, not only from our feed but from the Brewers feed. And then there's some stationary cameras as well, and they'll see things that sometimes we do not. They get it right, and it's no balls and a strike to Aaron Hill. And another throw. This time they got him. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Villars stayed the last time like I think I was safe. This time he is walking away from the bag in a manner in which he knows he was out, and he is definitely out.
That's unbelievable. A 19-year-old kid. As if to say, how dare you?
That was my good one. Here's my better one. When it comes to the move to first.
They're looking again at the possibility of a replay. This time I think they should probably not bother. That's really quite remarkable.
Very nice job controlling the running game. 4
pickoffs in 6 starts. Meanwhile, Aaron Hill 0-1 to the right and out of play. 0-2. Hill was born in Visalia, lives in Arizona these days, and takes outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 11 years in the bigs, came up with the Blue Jays. In Arizona, now Milwaukee. Got to get out of the way in a hurry. It's 2-2.
Really a little upset with himself that he missed his target by so much, and you don't want to be ahead of a guy and go that far inside and give him a free base by hitting him. I'm sure that's what he was rolling his eyes about.
On 2-2. Into center field. That's Jock Peterson. And there's 2 out. Well, here's Ryan Braun. Lives in Malibu these days during the off season. And having a very solid season. That .324 average ranks him 5th in the league. There's a strike.
In the middle of a current 8-game hitting streak, it's Mr. Braun.
No balls and 2 strikes.
Very hot in that time, hitting .424, 5 extra base hits, 6 runs scored. He's a offensive force in the middle of this Brewer lineup.
Yeah, it's great whenever he visits Dodger Stadium. Had a big series, and the Brewers were in for 4 just a couple of weeks back. He's got a hit in 11 of his last 12, hitting .367 during that period of time. Braun with a dozen home runs, a 2-2 pitch from Orioles. To the right side, look at Adrian Gonzalez with a diving stop, still is able to flip it to Orioles to end the inning. Gonzalez may be struggling with the bat, but certainly not with that 4-time Gold Glove winning spectacular play. Turned in by Adrian Gonzalez, getting Braun by a step. play to end the first inning. A makes a great diving stab, then B bobbles it. See, he still has the presence of mind, far better than I do, to make that flip to Urias to rob Braun of a base hit. Boy, that was something.
I was impressed with Urias not giving up on the play, because as soon as you see the ball fall out of your first baseman's glove, sometimes the first reaction is to kind of do a stutter step like, oh, we're going to miss this. But he continued on to the bag.
Gonzalez takes inside, 1 ball, no strikes. Gonzalez in his career .404 here at Miller Park. And he picks up where he left off. So this is as good a place as any for Gonzalez and his slump. He's had a miserable month of June. In fact, June 188 to this point in his career. Looking at 12 years, this is the worst single month he's ever had. .278 in his career, 188 this month.
He got a couple of mental days, but he had to play on some of those days when he was taking a break. Got a nice infield hit yesterday through the infield.
Thompson's been slumping. His average is down to .233. Gonzalez, the first Dodger base runner of the night. Thompson squares, and the third baseman Hill back. That's one way to get out of a slump and get yourself a hit.
Even if you don't lay the bunt down, but you make the fielders adjust their positioning to a place where you can get the ball by them, then with a hard ground ball, you gain some advantage.
1-1 to Trace Thompson. 11 home runs and 27 runs batted in.
You see some young guys fall into slumps, and when they get in the batter's box during the slump, you can tell they feel lost and they look lost. I don't get that observation or feeling from looking at Trace.
2-1.
Seems to get into the box with the same routine every time. He's got a clear look in his eyes when he's trying to pick up the signs down there from Chris Woodward. Every movement in the batter's box looks like it has an intent to get him ready to hit.
Into right field. That's going to drop for a base hit. And Gonzalez will go to third without a throw. The Dodgers in business now on back-to-back singles for Gonzalez and Thompson, each breaking out of a slump here in the second. Yasmani Grandal coming up.
I would say we just had a couple of hits that were below big league average on exit velocity, but as far as gaining 90 feet and getting to first base and driving Gonzalez over there to third, you're glad it's hit weakly, because Adrian, not the fleetest of foot, can get over there to third because that ball was kind of blooped into right.
Hit them where they ain't. Willie Keeler. Yasmani Grandal with runners at the corners and nobody out. Grandal at 183, 6 home runs and 26 runs batted in. He squares to bunt. 1 ball, no strikes. Jock Peterson on deck. Dodgers begin the night 7 behind the Giants. First of 3 with the Brewers. Beat Milwaukee last year 4 out of 7 and took 3 of 4 from Dodger Stadium a week and a half ago. On 2-0. There goes Thompson. Throw to second base and kicks off the glove. Thompson will go to third and Gonzalez will come in to score, and the Dodgers will take a 1-0 lead. I wonder if VR got spiked.
Get some good times off of Chris Anderson. What that means, he's slow to the plate.
Trace Thompson and George Lombard and Dave Roberts think they can make it down there in a hurry, and it looks like it's going to be a bang-bang play. The ball and Trace arrive at the same time. Jam a finger or a thumb on that glove hand right there, trying to get it off the hip. Adrian can score, and Trace can move up another 90 feet.
For Thompson, his 5th stolen base of the year. Now Craig Counsell's going to go out and take a look, see it. The left wrist of Jonathan VR.
Trace goes in hard, straight for the bag, trying to get the stolen bag. Ball goes off his hip. His leg goes into his glove.
VR will stay in the game. Thompson is at third. The Dodgers with a 1-0 lead. And Grandal on 2-1. Now 3-1. So the Dodgers score first, and when they do this year, they're 24-11. On 3-1. 3-2. Well, they have to give an error to somebody. Not that anybody necessarily made a mistake, but the official scorer said the error is on the catcher, Lucroy. To first base and foul.
I think Major League Baseball should look at that. I think for years I've thought that, as far as the throw was right there over the bag. Just unfortunate the runner and your fielder all arrive at the same time and the ball gets deflected. And I think there could be a team error. Just like when a pop-up kind of falls in between guys. They call it a hit, but in some ways the pitcher gets penalized for an earned run possibly, and should be a team error that the ball wasn't caught.
Grandal fouls it back just beneath us. Grandal with 6 home runs and 26 runs batted in.
When you're hitting below the Mendoza line, you got a man on third and less than 2 outs. You want to pick him up, pick your spirits up and your team.
To short, that will score Thompson. Grandal grounds out, gets his 27th run batted into the season. The Dodgers with 2 here in the second with 1 out.
Ground ball up the middle, like taking candy from the baby when the infield's back. Dave Roberts encouraging him. Bob Guerin there for a high five. Doesn't help his batting average, but helps his RBIs and Mr. Urias.
So Grandal gets his job done, scoring the run. Jock Peterson stepping in. Jock at 235, 13 home runs and 32 runs batted in. Anderson pulls the string and Peterson's way out in front. Five of his 13 home runs have come in the month of June for Jock Peterson, with Chris Taylor on deck. Now they get 2. Chase Anderson, 6'1", 200. He's a Texan. Into the wind. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Change up the Jock was way in front of it. We take a glance at Mr. Chris Taylor in the on deck circle.
That's Keon Broxton, and that's the second out of the second. And here comes Chris Taylor. Taylor started at shortstop yesterday. And in his first at bat with the Dodgers, he tripled and would come around to score a run. Out of Virginia Beach. And he lines one but right into the glove of second baseman Jake Elmore. That ends the inning. Hit it right on the button. But the Dodgers come up with 2 runs, 2 hits. There was an error. And we go to the bottom of the second. They're up 2-0. That's just in the top half of the first inning alone. Urias picks off a base runner, and then Gonzalez with a terrific play. Urias covering. That's just in the bottom of the first. So Urias retires the Brewers on 15 pitches. You don't want to lead off this guy. Now here's Jonathan Lucroy. Hitting .299. Lucroy has hit .299 in the month of April, .300 in May, and .299 this month. He's really become one of the big offensive weapons behind the plate in all of baseball. No balls and 2 strikes. 2 years ago, 2014, Lucroy hit 53 doubles, most ever by a catcher. And the first catcher to lead the league in doubles, Jonathan Lucroy. And you know, with the Brewers having their fair share of difficulties in 15 games behind the Cubs, they may well be sellers at the trade deadline, and he is a big piece for somebody. Slowly hit. In comes Taylor. And he throws out Lucroy by a step. Celebrate the 1981 Dodger World Series Tri-MVP Saturday, July 2nd, as the Dodgers take on the Rockies. The first 40,000 fans in attendance receive a 1981 Tri-MVP bobblehead presented by Security Benefit. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. So 1 out, nobody on, and Chris Carter coming up. Carter with 19 home runs and 15 doubles. So he's got 61 hits on the year, 34 extra base hits, and 27 singles. So he really is a power hitter in every sense of the way. but he's also struck out 95 times. The Brewers as a team have struck out 717 times this year, most in the majors. Craig Counsell can't bring a bat to the plate. 3-1.
A lot of times a team takes on the personality of their manager. Well, Craig Counsell was a very good contact hitter. It's probably driving him crazy watching all those strikeouts.
3-2.
A very awkward but effective batting stance. Bat really high over his head. Dropped it into the hitting slot as the ball was delivered.
Carter takes a walk. Second walk given up by Urias.
Julio's growth is going to be in keeping his pitch count down and being more efficient, as we saw with Clayton Kershaw. You look back to Clayton's first 12 starts in the big leagues or so. As a strikeout pitcher, he still would only go 5 innings or so because it took a while to learn how to put a hitter away quicker, learn how he could get ahead of a guy and have confidence to throw that early strike, and then learn how to get back into counts. And Julio is going through that growth right now.
Hernan Perez, a .282 hitter, takes a breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-1. No 19-year-old should have a curveball like that. Dodgers with the early 2-0 lead. We're in the bottom of the second. Now it's 0-2. And tomorrow we're going to see Brock Stewart make his major league debut. He announced his own birth yesterday on Twitter. Perez is down on strikes. That's the first strikeout for Urias. Stewart was due to arrive here in Milwaukee just about now.
The young man that'll start for the Dodgers that has pitched at all 4 levels, A-ball, AA, AAA, and will get his big league debut tomorrow.
Here's Jake Elmore, called up just today. Take a look at tomorrow's probables, brought to you by your Southern California Chevy dealers. There he is, Brock Stewart, Bloomington Normal, Illinois. Oh, it's about 40 miles from Peoria. He was an Illinois State Redbird, and beginning at Class A, his last 3 decisions all wins at Oklahoma City. So we'll get a look-see at him tomorrow. Elmore 0-2. At AAA Colorado Springs, Elmore was hitting .320, having played 57 games down there. Alex Presley was designated for assignment today to make room. Well hit to left, and there is Kendrick. And that's going to do it for the second inning. No runs, no hits, a walk, 1 man left. We'll go to the third. Urias and the Dodgers 2-0. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by the Dodge Challenger. Test drive one at your local Dodge dealer today. County Stadium is where the Brewers used to play, and that was across the way. Miller Park in the process of being constructed. It was open for business in 2001. Another note about County Stadium is Orioles takes a strike, 0-1. Remember the great baseball movie Major League about the Cleveland Indians? Well, it was filmed at Old County Stadium in Milwaukee. Orioles takes a strike, and it's 0-2. And of course, Uecker was in the movie. Bob Uecker, the icon and the legend here in Milwaukee. Chris Carter will take it by himself, and that's the first out of the third inning. The star of Major League, for goodness sakes. He's had enough.
He was one of my favorite guests on the Johnny Carson show back when Johnny was on.
I think he may have been
one of the most.
He was the guest most often in the history of the Carson program.
He was a lot of fun.
He spent some time with him today. And he doesn't travel all that much anymore, but he is as beloved a figure in this town as anybody is in any town.
His line about how to catch a knuckleball. Let it go by you, and then when it gets back to the backstop and stops rolling, pick it up.
Utley to right. That's the second out of the third.
He said he never went into a slump because he never got that many hits. He was always in a slump.
Uecker. These are his seats. Was a career 200 hitter. It should be the Uecker line, not the Mendoza line. But he has natural comedic timing. And years ago we had dinner, and I was asking about all of that. He said he always wanted to be a comedian. And that's in the right field, and Perez is there, and that's going to do it. He would do stand-up on occasion at the Improv and places like that when the Brewers are on the road. After 2.5, Dodgers 2-0. Here's a 2-0 lead as we go to the bottom half of the third, and Milwaukee's 8, 9, and 1 hitters will be coming up, beginning with Keon Broxton. Broxton hasn't hit much this year. He's 8 for 60. It's a 133 clip. When he gets on base as infrequently as he does, he can steal a base. He's stolen 6 out of 7. And if you're going to get a first career home run, why not off Max Scherzer? Broxton, 2 RBIs. Outside. 2-0 to Keon Broxton.
Those 2 pitches right there are the key to getting your pitch count down. Attack the hitter early. You know now 2-0. I got to throw a strike. You might as well done it on the first pitch. That's what the first one should have been. And Rick Honeycutt talks to him about after outings. It's what they're working on. I'd rather see you attack early and start to expand later than expand, fall behind, and then have to come towards the middle of the plate.
Missing high and outside, and was angry with himself.
One of the biggest lessons you have to learn when you get to the big leagues is that you are good enough. And if I could throw strikes in AAA and get them out, then if I can throw those same strikes here and everybody believes in me and saying you belong in the big leagues, you got to trust it.
Tough when you walk a 133 hitter. That's the 3rd walk given up by Urias.
Adrian Gonzalez coming in and going over the bunt plays with Julio. Pretty much guaranteed bunt situation. Might be letting him know how much of a head start he'd like to have. Chris Taylor over at 3rd base will be charging, creeping in. If you get the hard bunt back to yourself, you can also go to 2nd, try and get the double play going to Corey Seager.
Anderson has 4 sacrifice bunts. So Urias with the walk. He walked 4 batters in his first outing against the Mets and only 1 in each of the subsequent starts. And tonight he has walked 3 in 2+ innings. Dodgers with the 2-0 lead.
Cat and mouse game going on over there with Adrian in the runner. Trying to keep him close.
Urias has 1 play. That's the first with Utley covering. Broxton goes to 2nd.
A good aggressive defense from the Dodgers, but a well-executed bunt from Chase Anderson. The ball gets elevated, a little bit of a pop-up, but it gets down quick enough with some backspin. Easy to advance when you bunt at that distance, no matter what angle.
Broxton has very good speed. He's at 2nd base, and Jonathan VR, who walked in his first at-bat, at 298, and he's walked 37 times. He's got a 380 on base percentage. The only fly in his ointment, he strikes out a lot. He has been struck out 80 times. But he's been a clutch hitter. Outfield deep and straight away. Runner goes. Throw to 3rd. Not going to be in time. Throw is high and late. Broxton has now stolen 7 out of 8.
The first pitch to VR. We're gaining some ground out there, Broxton, and Chase Utley really trying to jockey him back and get Julio's attention on the mound, but a little too late. And off a lefty, easier to steal 3rd than it is 2nd because their eyes turn away from you as you break.
Taylor, the 3rd baseman for the Dodgers, playing relatively close to the bag as VR. Big swing and a miss. And again, talking about the fly in his ointment, striking out and leaving the runner at 3rd now with 2 out.
A big pitch here. 0-2. Fastball in, get it in, actually hit the glove of Yasmani Grandal. You can't put it in a better place.
Now Aaron Hill. Dodgers were playing back. They were ready to trade a run for an out. But Urias strikes out VR, and there's 2 gone. Hill flied to center in his first at bat. Hill with 7 home runs and 24 runs batted in. Now it's 2-0. Urias, as you see, 43 pitches to this point. $15 in the first, 16 in the second. And now falling behind, 3-0. Three walks, 2 strikeouts. And Ryan Braun is on deck. Four-pitch walk, the 4th given up by Urias tonight.
Shooting the gun in the right area. He's just not quite getting it over there on the corner. Ball slightly elevated and slightly off the corner. Make a minor adjustment.
He had 4 walks in his very first game in the pressurized setting of Citi Field. And then he seemed to find his control. And tonight he has lost it to this point. Ryan Braun, a career .304 hitter. First and third with 2 out. That's going to be a base hit, and that's going to roll to the wall. Roxton scores easily. Hill is on his way home, and he will score. Braun with a 2-out, 2-run double has evened the score at 2.
Ryan Braun having a big year in the middle of this Brewer lineup. Julio frustrated that he's been walking so many guys, wants to come in there with a first pitch strike and does with a changeup, but Braun stays down and through it. A veteran not looking for a walk, but looking for something in the center of the plate, no matter what speed, finds it and drives it in the gap. Ties this Wago up.
So the 2 walks that Urias surrenders here in the third come around to score on the Braun double. Braun now with 40 runs batted in. And Jonathan Lucroy stepping in. Lucroy bounced to third in his first at-bat. Dodgers with 2 in the second. The Brewers with 2 here in the bottom of the third. And Lucroy takes a strike. It's 0-1. Lucroy in his last 26 games is hitting .340. One and one. Control an issue for Urias tonight. This is his 7th start. The ball, a strike, and 2 out. To Seager, this should end the inning. It does, and that's that. But 2 walks and a 2-run double for Ryan Braun has evened the score after 3.
Earlier today before the game was that Clayton Kershaw, his lower back tightness still not getting any better, and in fact he's going to be leaving Milwaukee and heading back to Los Angeles for further tests. Dave Roberts spoke about it earlier today.
As we looked at his Friday start, to get him a couple days back home makes sense. So he's going to consult with the docs when he gets back to LA, and we'll see where we go from there. But we're still hopeful for Friday.
Clayton Kershaw, of course, trusted tremendous year so far. Scheduled to return to Los Angeles tomorrow. He will meet with Dr. Robert Watkins, a world-renowned back specialist. Look at what he's done this season, well documented. Last time on the DL, the only time back in 2014 with that teres major muscle, guys.
Well, Dodger fans keeping their fingers crossed and holding their breath. Seager fouls it off to the left and out of play, and it's 0-1. Well, the world's greatest pitcher with a bulky back.
It'll be good to get him home, and also good to get him home tomorrow. So instead of flying home after the day game on Thursday and then being ready to pitch on Friday, get an extra day off of the plane flight. And everybody knows what it's like to take a long car ride or a long plane flight. Even anybody with a good back, it's a little stiff.
Seager into the right field corner, and that is a fair ball. He just continues this relentless tear, and now he's on his way to third base, and he's got a triple. Corey Seager's second triple of the year. His hitting streak now is at 11 games.
Well placed little fly ball down the right field corner. Corey Seager, a big man, but once underway, covers a lot of ground quickly. Made a very nice read with he and Chris Woodward stretching that into a triple.
Now Seager is 19 for his last 43. Dodgers a chance to reclaim the lead with Gonzalez with a fly ball to right. If it's fair, it is. It's a double off the wall. Gonzalez will slide in safely. He's 2 for 2. Seager comes in to score, and the Dodgers take a 3-2 lead. Gonzalez loves to hit at Miller Park. It is career .404, and tonight he's 2 for 2.
Looking for a ball up to just get a sac fly, but pulls his hands in on this fastball, well located, up and in, not even a strike, but Adrian puts a nice swing on it, and again they register a couple balls right down the right field line that bring them 2 and 3 bases.
And now Trace Thompson coming up. Thompson single to right in his first at bat. Dodgers 3-2.
Well, Trace, even though you're in a slump, you're looking to give yourself up and get Adrian to third, hit a ground ball to the right side. Yasmani Grandal did that with a man on third and less than 2 outs. Got a routine ground ball to short, got himself an RBI and an offer, but got the team a run.
Inside and low.
Looking for a productive out or a very productive hit.
So Adrian Gonzalez suffering through the worst month he's ever had in his big league career. 188 coming into tonight's game, but he's 2 for 2.
With a couple of mental days off that Dave Roberts gave him, and Adrian was going to get one but asked for the second one. If that turns him around, he might have crossed that bridge in the age category as far as now knowing that he needs to take the occasional day off to get rejuvenated.
And this was the ideal place to get rejuvenated, where throughout his career he's hit over 400. The 2-1 to Thompson. Now 3-1. Grandal is next. Dodgers with 4 hits. The Brewers have 1. And Thompson takes a walk.
Very good discipline right there. to get to the 3-1 count on a fastball away, not to just give yourself up to move the runner over Gonzalez, and then to pass the baton to Yasmani. Individual at bats that are functioning as a unit.
When the Dodgers saw Chase Anderson on June the 18th, 10 days ago, they knocked him out in the 3rd inning. 7 runs and 6 hits. We're in the 4th. The Dodgers 3 runs and 4 hits, and they've got Anderson on the ropes. 1st and 2nd, a run in here in the 4th inning. No balls and a strike to Grandal. Yasmani at 182, 6 home runs, but he knocked in his 27th run of the season with the fielder's choice in the 2nd inning. Gonzalez and Thompson, the runners, outside. Chase Anderson, along with the Brewer 3rd baseman Aaron Hill, came over from the Arizona Diamondbacks in the trade that sent Gene Segura to the D-backs. Grandal fouls it to the left.
Place where the Dodgers can really put Chase Anderson on the ropes. His last outing was against these Dodgers on the 18th of June. Extra day's rest to rest his arm, back at it with the same uniform, and that was a very short outing. 2 1/3 innings and 7 earned runs. So he's got that nightmare in his background, and now he's got this jam that he's trying to get out of.
And an earned run average of 517. Dodgers split the 4-game series here at Miller Park last year. Took 2 of 3 at Dodger Stadium. Took 3 of 4 at Dodger Stadium 10 days ago. Now the 1-2 outside. 2-2. So the Dodgers have fared well in Milwaukee. Miller Park opened in 2001, and they're 26-22 here. Dave Roberts. His first time in as the Dodger manager. Gonzalez and Thompson lead from 2nd and 1st, and Grandal works the count full. Still nobody out. Jock Peterson on deck.
The runners will not be going anywhere.
Gonzalez and Thompson. Six, 4, and 3. Gonzalez will go to 3rd, 2 out as Grandal bounces into the double play.
You can't start the runners there with Yasmani in a slump. Swing and a miss is right there, and Adrian is your lead runner. No chance you want to get him underway in that situation. Unfortunate that a hard hit ground ball is right at the shortstop.
Now Jock Peterson applied to center in his first at bat. Jock at 233 with 13 home runs and 32 runs batted in. The newest Dodger, Chris Taylor, in the on deck circle. 0-1 to Peterson. First pitch, 5:10 Pacific tomorrow. Rock. There's a liner into center field for a base hit. A 2-out RBI single for Jock Peterson, knocking in his 33rd of the year. Second run of the fourth, and the Dodgers lead 4-2.
Yasmani in his last at bat picked up the team with the ground ball to shortstop RBI, and Jock picks up Yasmani right here with a 2-out base hit after the double play.
And Gonzalez has scored 2 of the 4 Dodger runs tonight. Chris Taylor stepping in. Line to second in his first at bat. Takes a strike. It's 0-1. Taylor came up in the Mariner organization and was traded over for Zach Lee a couple of weeks ago. One ball and 1 strike to Chris Taylor. He's 25. 5th round pick of the Mariners in 2012. Grew up in Virginia, played at the University of Virginia. He wasn't at Oklahoma City for very long, 6 for 12 there. And was hitting .312 at AAA Tacoma before the deal. Justin Turner with the night off tonight. 1-2. One and two out. What kind of a sign is he looking for?
I don't know. I think he's just being very gracious to their base coach, giving him the full attention for Chris Woodward.
Off to the right and out of play.
Taylor's already shown his speed with that triple in his first at bat as a Dodger yesterday. Shown his versatility, starting at shortstop and then scooting over to third after Justin Turner ended up with a cramp in his right leg in an awkward swing yesterday, and then getting that starting position there today.
So Turner with the night off. And ahead for a slide for Jock Peterson. Jock has stolen 4 out of 6 this year. (4-2) Dodgers with 2 out in the 4th. Up the middle into center field for a base hit. So Chris Taylor making his presence felt in his first 2 starts with the Dodgers.
A really big hit, a nice piece of swinging right there that drive that ball back up the middle, but you turn the lineup over. Julio Urias only has 49 pitches, so even if you'd gone out and threw up a 0, if Taylor would have made the last out, the Dodgers are probably not going to pinch hit for him. The pitch count is well under control, so turning the lineup over and getting Julio's at bat out of the way, or even a possible RBI here, a very nice job by the 8th hitter.
It says he's 0 for 5, but it looks like he swings the bat pretty well. He's a very good athlete, Orioles. And a pretty good rip. 0-1. Two runs and 4 hits for the Dodgers here in the 4th. Anderson sweating bullets. And it's 0-2. Seager's tripled. Gonzalez has doubled. Thompson walked. Back-to-back singles with 2 out for Peterson and Taylor. Up the middle. There's his first big league hit. Julio Urias with an RBI. And Taylor will go to third as the ball is bobbled by Broxton in center. And the Dodgers take a 5-2 lead. The Dodgers will get that ball back into the dugout.
Julio's got a chance to, of course, there is his first big league hit. He's also got a chance now to get his first big league W, and this base hit gives him a little extra padding on the second goal. Charlie, you mentioned that he looks like a pretty good athlete, and I'll tell you what, he's got a pretty decent swing up there. He's not up there flailing and swinging and missing. He's making contact, and that contact find him his first big league bingo.
Well, he's given himself a 3-run lead with a 2-out single. A triple, a double, 3 singles and a walk. And the Dodgers have plated 3. They've got runners at the corners with 2 out. And Chase Utley coming up. And Utley in his career here at Miller Park, .382, although 0 for 2 tonight.
Most of the Dodger hitters look like they've been eliminating Chase Anderson's changeup. He's been trying to throw it, fooled a few, but not throwing many for strikes. And the breaking ball hasn't been very effective, so they've been sitting on the heater.
Well, they cuffed him around 10 days ago, and Utley with a fly ball to right. That'll end the inning with Perez there to making the catch. And it all began with Corey Seager extending his hitting streak to 11 games with a triple into the right field corner. Then Adrian Gonzalez would double him home. And the Dodgers lead 5-2. By Jack in the Box. It's back. The Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack. Taste it before it's gone at Jack in the Box. John Green with his 4-home run hitting performance here, being congratulated by Chad Kruger. The Dodgers have fared well historically here at Miller Park. 26 and 22 since it opened in 2001, and they're faring pretty well tonight. 5-2 lead into the bottom of the 4th, and faring the best of all is that man, Julio Urias. Dodgers have out hit the Brewers 7-1. He gets his first big league hit and knocks in a run. Not the only blemish on his performance tonight. He's walked 4 batters, and 2 of the 4 came in to score in the 3rd inning on a 2-out double by Ryan Braun. Chris Carter, Hernan Perez, and Jake Elmore to bat for the Brewers in the bottom of the 4th. 2-1. Carter walked in his first plate appearance. Late on the 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Missing outside. Before each pitch, he does the exact same thing. He'll put his glove to his mouth. There it is. What he does with it up there is anybody's guess, but that's what he does every time. Into right center. That's Trace Thompson. When you think of the 4th of July, you think of America's favorite pastimes, like Dodger baseball and fireworks. Celebrate this year at the Dodgers game against the Orioles and enjoy a post-game fireworks show courtesy of Hawaiian Springs Water. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Now Hernan Perez struck out swinging in his first at-bat. Hear Dan Bellino bellow out the called strike. Perez with 3 home runs, 16 runs batted in from Venezuela. Grounds it to third. That's Taylor, the newest Dodger. There's 2 out. Mentioned how Urias does the same thing before every pitch. How important is that as I guess a timing mechanism? What is it?
It's like your pre-shot routine in golf. You know, you like to put the club head behind the ball and line it up, square up your feet, square up your hips, square up your shoulders, do a little waggle, and then pull the trigger. That's pretty much his pre-shot routine. Probably gives him a little bit more mental focus. He's probably checking not only his balance, but he's probably checking his alignment. And then he's starting a delivery in rhythm.
And finishing with a 93-mile-an-hour fastball.
It's very good discipline to be able to do that at his age. Guys with great talent that have been mowing people down at a young age. Sometimes it takes them a while to learn once they get to higher levels, the discipline and the things that you have to do so precisely to compete at this level. They seem like a waste of time when you're just mowing people down when you're younger in the lower levels, from high school to college to A-ball, AA, and AAA. And if you're getting it done just because you're one of those rare talents, but then you get to a league where there's a lot of rare talents, and then you have to start rubbing the edges off, and you have to be more precise every single pitch.
Hey, they're all rare talents out there. That's why they do it. In the history of the game, only 18,000 men have played the game since going back to 1890. 5th walk of the night given up by Urias. How all of us would just love once to be inside a uniform and be able to play with these other fellas at that level. You of course had the skill to get it done for as long as you did.
It's one of the things that keeps me humble every day, that we get to walk on the big league field, even though we don't play. But we are walking on what I consider almost sacred ground, to go out there where guys with amazing world-class ability get to walk during their career.
No balls and 2 strikes to Keon Broxton, who walked in his first at-bat and would come around to score.
You know, at home, when they open up Dodger Stadium for kids to run the bases after the game, or the Friday night movie night where you're allowed to just sit on the outfield grass or we've got a promotion coming up, or we did on Father's Day, where you get to play catch with your son or daughter in the outfield after the game. That kind of stuff, to walk on Dodger Stadium grass and see the dirt and feel it under your feet, is a tremendous opportunity.
Broxton down on strikes, will go to the 5th. Orioles with a 3-run lead. Tonight has his first big league hit and first big league RBI, and the Dodgers have themselves a 5-2 lead. Howie Kendrick will lead it off for the Dodgers in the 5th, then Seager and Gonzalez. The Giants host the Athletics tonight. Dodgers 7 behind San Francisco as Kendrick, 0 for 2 tonight, steps in. Howie has bounced to second and flied to right. Brock Stewart making his debut with the Dodgers tomorrow night. First pitch 5:10 Pacific. Thursday's a day game. And on the West Coast, first pitch 11:10. Kenta Maeda will go, then will be facing Zach Davies. Then the Dodgers head home and will remain home until the All-Star break. Longest homestand of the year. Here's the 2-1. Swing and a miss. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Rockies are in first, second, and third. Then the Orioles 4th, 5th, and 6th. And Dodgers will wrap it up with the Padres, a 4-game series before the break. Kendrick rips one into left field for a base hit. Howie, big turn. He's on his way to second, and the throw is not in time. So Kendrick with his 7th 2-base hit of the year. And now it's time for the greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile, and it's Corey Seager. Seager tripled tonight, scored a run, 1 for 2, has an 11-game hitting streak, and he leads the club in hits, home runs, doubles, and runs scored. If it finishes out that way by the end of the year, he is in very exclusive company, including Jackie Robinson in 47. And that in and of itself is incomprehensible. All that Robinson had to endure in 1947. And he leads the Dodgers in everything. So here's Seager at 299.
It's hard enough to make it to the big leagues and then to transition into being a big leaguer and an everyday player, and then playing a premium high spotlight position like the starting shortstop for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
And batting third.
Batted third, and even in the September call-up last year, slipping into the second hole right away, and nothing has fazed him. Not one of the responsibilities has made him look young or overwhelmed.
Two balls and a strike. And down the stretch last year in the final 27 games after Jimmy Rollins got hurt, he had 337. Now the 2-1. 3-1.
Between Julio on the mound and Corey in the batter's box, we've got a couple of precocious young men that are poised beyond their years and talented off the charts.
Gonzalez on deck. Kendrick leads from second. To left, slicing into the stands. 3-2.
I can watch Corey strike out 4 times in a row, which he has done this year, and sometimes it's 2 in one game, and then the beginning of the next game he strikes out 2, and you never say to yourself, well, here we go, here it comes. The slump for the young guy. Still very comfortable. Watch him in the batter's box, watch him do his thing, and you just know the slump's not coming.
And he takes a walk. Now here's Adrian Gonzalez.
Well, Adrian suffering through the worst June of his career, but starting to come out of it.
Well, Craig Counsell has seen enough of Chase Anderson. Kendrick double, the Seager walk, and that is that. Counsell's going to make himself a double shift or switch, and we'll tell you all about it when we come back. And when you consider the Dodgers cuffed him around 10 days ago back at Dodger Stadium, next time he sees the Dodgers will be entirely too soon. Part of that double switch has Ramon Flores in center field and Carlos Torres on the hill, and the Dodgers sitting pretty with a 5-2 lead and the chance to score more. So here comes Adrian Gonzalez, 2 for 2 and 2 runs scored.
He's starting to gain some plate coverage here in June. The couple hits that he's got, and you see the ones he's covering the ball away, and he's also covering the ball in. could be good signs, not only hits, but good swings coming out of Adrian.
Suffering through the worst month of his big league career in 12 years. But tonight in Miller Park, where historically he has done very well, he's feeling a whole lot better.
He got a lot of numbers off of Chase Anderson when he was a Diamondback too. He loves to hit in Arizona. Here he got 2 for the price of 1. He got Chase Anderson and he got to hit in Milwaukee.
When the Dodgers last faced Anderson 2 1/3, he gave up 7 runs and 6 hits. Tonight, 5 runs and 8 hits in 4 innings. So they chase Anderson early. One ball and 2 strikes to Adrian Gonzalez with Thompson on deck. The Dodgers in the middle of a roller coaster ride. They began their 6-game winning streak, winning the final 3 of a 4-game series with the Brewers back at Dodger Stadium. And then they'd sweep the Nationals, lose 3 in a row to the Pirates, win getaway day yesterday, and now have themselves a 5-2 lead, and it gets past Lucroy as it actually had hit Gonzalez, and so now the bases are loaded.
Down and in breaking ball, hits off Adrian's front foot right there, deflects to the backstop. Didn't get him too bad though. He just jogged right down to first like that was nothing.
Because it probably was. Bases are loaded, and I'm guessing Craig Counsell wishes he was too. Thompson fouls it off to the right, and it's 0-1. Thompson tonight has singled, scored a run, stolen a base, and walked.
These outstanding opportunities, bases loaded, no out. When you're in a slump, you crave these situations. If you succeed, you start to feel like you're coming out of it. If you fail, it feels like hot coals on your head.
Nothing in 2 to Thompson with Grandal on deck.
Shorten up, put the ball in play, give yourself a chance.
Nothing in 2. Thompson's called out on strikes.
Sometimes the last thing you think in an 0-2 count, bases loaded, no out, if the pitcher is going to throw you a strike, you think he's going to waste something or he's going to make something look like a strike, end up a ball. Painted, low and away on the black.
Now Grandal, an RBI and a fielder's choice, and he's also bounced into a double play. Hits it slowly to second. There is one, but there won't be a second one. In to score is Kendrick on the Grandal fielder's choice. Yasmani is second RBI of the night, and the Dodgers take a 6-2 lead. And Jock Peterson 1 for 2 in his last at bat. He singled a run home and scored 1. So the Dodgers lead at 6-2. They've out hit the Brewers 8-1. And Urias is on his way to his first big league win. miles to go before he and the Dodgers sleep. But it's a 4-run cushion with 2 out and 2 on, and a run in here in the top of the 5th.
I think there's a couple bits of news so far. 7 guys in the Dodger lineup have hits, including Julio, and him in line also for that first big league win. But I think the one in the hit column for the Brewers is news when Julio has already pitched 4 innings.
Now he can work on his control a bit. Got 5 walks and 3 strikeouts, and the 2 walks that he gave up in the 3rd inning would be knocked in by Ryan Braun. But each time Urias comes out for a performance, this is his 7th, he shows more and more as compared with the previous start. Now he is, with the beginning of his career such that it has been, we're expecting more out of him than your average pitcher.
Now, the age is one thing, but the ability is just really phenomenal. And it's going to be fun to watch him the rest of this game, but even into the future. And I know they're going to watch his innings and his workload, but I think it has been proven in these 7 starts that he belongs up here, and it's just a matter of protecting him for the long run.
Bases are loaded now with 2 out on the Peterson walk. And here's Chris Taylor. There's not a whole lot that Craig Counsell can do.
A couple of frustrating things for Craig Counsell. His team strikes out an awful lot, and his pitchers are not throwing enough strikes. That is the wrong end of both of those equations.
Bases are loaded, and Taylor fouls it back. Big rip, 0-1. Taylor lined to second his first at bat and singled to center in his second. So you got Seager, Grandal, and Peterson with the bases loaded. A run is in, and the Dodgers, with a hit here, can blow it open. One and one. Urias is on deck. Taylor, the 7th batter of the inning. 2-1. Taylor 2 for 6 with the Dodgers. Takes a strike, and it's 2-2. Got that old-time look. Pants to the knee. Sanitaries in the stirrups. It's a good look. To short, this should end it. VR with the underhanded flip to Elmore, and the inning is over. Dodgers come up with a run with 1 hit. A couple of walks, a hit batsman. They lead 6-2 after 4½.
team travels, we are required to wear a certain form of clothing on the team. And of course, Adrian Gonzalez had to take it to a different level, gentlemen. This is a charro. Of course, a charro is a term referring to a traditional horseman from Mexico. And when we all get on the plane, some of the guys wear suits and whatever the attire is that is required by the team when we travel. And Adrian decided to move in on Justin Turner's MLB Network interview with the traditional sombrero and the nice get-up. It was custom made for Adrian with the nice elements on the side that are actually in the shape of a baseball. The silver buttons are baseballs, and surprised his team, went and sought out Dave Roberts and kind of gave everybody a chuckle.
He looked marvelous. Ramon Flores leading it off in the bottom half of the 5th. Flores at 236. This is his first at bat of the night. Came in part of the double switch. As Urias misses low, 1-1. One ball, 2 strikes to Ramon Flores. He's 24 years of age. About 5'10", 190. They've tried to keep Urias around 90 pitches per start, and I imagine this will be no different. This will be his 70th.
There's stress to every pitch, but not every pitch is created equal. And there's stress also to how many times you have to heat up and cool down. Just always monitoring that.
He's due to lead off in the 6th. The 1-2, high and inside, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It has been rumored that this could be his last start, and maybe he will then be ushered into the bullpen either here or in the minor leagues to learn how to be a reliever so that they can watch his workload.
Slice deep and foul.
But nothing has been put in cement yet. Just people speculating on how they're going to manage the workload.
Now you're a pitcher and a pretty darn good one. You have started over the course of 7 starts into a first season. Slicing foul and into the stands. So you go out and you throw 90 or so pitches per start, not to mention side work, pregame bullpen and all of that. Then all of a sudden you kind of bring it to a halt, and now you go through a different discipline, being a reliever. What kind of taxation is there on the arm and shoulder of a 19-year-old kid doing that? Here's the 2-2, outside low, 3-2.
I think the key would be just to teach him how to warm up, because sometimes you just throw because it's fun and you're staying loose, and you're how to throw along with a guy that's still in the game, but you're staying loose to pitch along with him in case you're needed. So to know how to get loose and then how to just stand on the rubber in the bullpen and wait. So
Flores giving him a battle.
When you learn that, it's pretty easy. I pitched in the minor leagues the whole year, some starting, some relieving. I did that 2 or 3 years in a row before I got to the big leagues. When I got to the big leagues, it was as a reliever, and then I got slipped into the rotation. There's a lot more talk now about training guys to be relievers or training guys to be starters and to stretch them out compared to my day. And I think it's more about the data, and they're really just trying to watch pitchers' lives and learn from that and understand how to train them better.
Flores works out an 11-pitch walk to lead off the 5th.
There's a little bit more, throw them into the fire, and you know, if you survive and do well, then that's great. And if you don't, you know, you learn along the way. You don't have to be completely prepared in my day to, like, this is the way we're going to bring him along. It's a lot more sophisticated now with the plans.
Jonathan VR has walked and struck out. Takes a breaking ball for a strike.
I remember one minor league season, Manny Mota was watching me from the big leagues and wanted me to come to the Dominican Republic, play for his team, Licey. And he went to Al Campanis and said, I want him to come down to the winter ball and start for me. I think he's a starter. Al said, well, if you like him, go ahead. I think I went 6 innings my first start in Dominican Republic, and it wasn't about like even building me up. It was like, well, I have a little sore arm when I got out of it, and I just kind of eased into it and kept going. Never really had to like build up my pitch count.
0-2 to VR. And he's called out. Actually swung on and missed strike 3 on that breaking ball. That's the 4th strikeout for Orioles.
Let's take a look at the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa slow-mo cam, and it's extra slow. Change up out in front, and even when you slow it down, he's too quick with the Morongo slow-mo cam.
4 strikeouts, 6 walks. There's a fastball for a strike. I guess to follow up the question and the thought, now you pitching 90 pitches or so every 5th day. Later in the season, if he's going to work out of the bullpen, he'd likely be called upon for 1 inning. At shortstop, Seager. And you spend all your bullets in 1 inning as opposed to 5 or 6 innings. And what, if any, impact does that have?
Well, the risk and the wear and tear in a bullpen is from your ups and from how many times you come in the game within, let's say, a week. So I think a nice workload will be for him is somewhere 2 to 3 times within a week. 1 inning maximum of 25 pitches. I think you could spread that workload out in a way to keep it very safe and keep him very effective. You know, if there are bouts where he is really hot and Dave Roberts wanted to use him 2 nights in a row, you would really check with him at the beginning of the 2nd day when he's playing catch. How do you feel? If you get any inkling that he's a little stiff or he's a little tender, I'm sure the Dodgers would avoid it. But if he's like, I'm really good and feel good, and Rick Honeycutt's watching him play catch, and Josh Bard's watching him play catch, and he looks free and easy before the game at BP, I think he would get the green light for that. I would doubt very much that he would ever throw 3 days in a row. That's for a veteran who really understands his arm, who really understands the mechanics in his body. When a veteran on the 3rd day gives a green light, even the pitching coach is a little leery about recommending that the guy is good to go.
0-1 to Braun, who doubled home 2 in the 3rd. And he bloops 1 foul off the first baseline. And it's 0-2.
Josh Bard's an outstanding bullpen coach. Rick Honeycutt, an outstanding pitching coach. A lot of veterans down in the Dodger bullpen now that'll be able to keep an eye on him and school him as far as how to warm up and how to stand on the rubber after you're loose as you watch the game. You don't need to throw out of anxiety. And I think once a bullpen guy is loose down there and he's kind of following the game, and Honeycutt and Dave Roberts want him to be ready, their usual routine is to throw a ball maybe every 3 to 4 pitches that are thrown in the game just to stay loose. And he'll learn that routine.
0-2 to Braun. Just low. 1-2. J.P. Howell is kind of stretching out his arm. So we expect this will be Urias' last inning. He's due to lead off. There's J.P. Dodgers with a 4-run lead, 2 out of the bottom of the 5th. That'll do it. And if that was the last pitch, it results in a strikeout of Ryan Braun. We go to the 6th inning. tonight for Julio Urias, who's going to bat for himself after throwing 85 pitches. Looks like he's going to go another inning. It's been a terrific night for him. He swings and misses, nothing in one. He has gotten his first big league hit and his first big league RBI. Single to center back in the 4th inning. Nothing in 2. At 85 pitches, I guess the feeling is that he hasn't had many high stress pitches.
And they'll probably let him push up against 100 as far as the pitch count.
Down on strikes.
So far this year in the 6 other starts, got 94, 85, 86, 86, 79, and 81 in the first start there at Citi Field in New York.
And he cut with a big smile after he struck out. That's not my responsibility. Urias is hearing it from everybody in the dugout. Chase Utley 0 for 3. Dodgers lead it 6-2. Urias has given up just 1 hit through 5. And Utley takes low. Utley coming into the game in his career .382 here at Miller Park. But he's flied out 3 times tonight. Well, he was due. And a single to left. Hit the other way and through the shift.
It's nice to see a few of our couple of veterans that are in their June swoons get some hits. Chase Utley with that one. Adrian Gonzalez with a couple.
So Utley 1 for 4. Kendrick stepping in. Howie generally hits the ball the other way. Lined a double to left and scored a run back in the 5th inning. He's 1 for 3 tonight. Kendrick at 243.
A little different defense that Howie's seeing compared to other people, and playing him straight up on the left side and really almost slight pull on the right side.
There goes the runner. A big swing and a foul back.
Usually we see the third baseman play straight up and the shortstop play a little bit over towards the right side, and the second baseman play more towards first base, kind of playing him as a left-handed pull hitter. But Brewers deciding to play him almost straight up.
A lot of room in the outfield between left and center for Kendrick, who fouls it back. Braun in left. You see Flores shaded toward right center. And Hernan Perez very deep in right.
I think the definition of straight up is going to change over the years. It'll be conventional or something compared to where we begin to start to see all the shifts and how you describe them.
When the third baseman picks up a ground ball, is placed where the second baseman normally stands. Have to rewrite the scorebook. That's the 3rd strikeout for Torres. There's 2 out. And Corey Seager coming up. All-star voting being what it is, when you cut through it all, is there a more legitimate all-star shortstop this year than Corey Seager in the National League? Anybody? 1 ball, 1 strike. Seager leads all National League shortstops with 90 hits, 51 runs scored. Second in home runs, fifth in RBIs, and second in batting average of all the shortstops. So you can stuff the ballot box with a good conscience. To left. Braun going back. He's got room, and that's going to do it. No runs and a hit, one man left. After 5.5, Dodgers lead it 6-2. Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop online at choosenissan.com. And by Carl's Jr., the California Classic Double Cheeseburger for just $2.49 at Carl's Jr. Is there anything better than the race of the dancing cold cuts? And down the stretch it goes. A tradition in Milwaukee, where brats are us. And Jonathan Lucroy belts one to left center field. That's one hop off the wall. Perfect carom for Peterson. But Lucroy is aboard with a leadoff double, his 15th two-base hit of the year.
Fastball trying to get ahead, avoid the walks that have haunted him tonight. Only given up one hit to this point. Lucroy hopping on that first pitch fastball, but look at where Jock Peterson plays that ball. He doesn't run to where the ball's going. He understands what the wall's going to do to it. He runs to the spot where the carom is going to take it. Perfectly played by Jock.
Adam Livator is now going to work in the Dodger pen. Chris Carter stepping in. Dodgers 6-2. That was just the second hit of the night given up by Urias. There's Livator. Chris Carter this year has 61 hits. 34 extra base hits, 19 home runs, and 15 doubles. Those 19 home runs ranked him 4th in the National League. Hernan Perez on deck. 0-2. And while Carter can hit him a long way, he can strike out a lot. He has been struck out 95 times this year. Second in the National League. Well, 96. And that's a 6th strikeout of the game for Urias.
A big strikeout. See if he hits the glove again, which he has with some of these righties on the fastball. In a perfect pitch right in there. Tempting enough that it could be a strike, up enough that it gets by the bat with that low 90s velocity.
Only Colorado rookie shortstop Trevor Story has struck out more than Carter, 104 times. So 1 out, 1 on, and here's Perez. He's struck out and bounced to third. Mentioned earlier that the Brewers as a group have struck out more than any other team in the league by a significant sum, 717 plus the 6 tonight, 723 times. So they're basically giving away a third of the game. Strike out 9 times in a game. Those are 3 innings. Don't put the ball in play, not much can happen. Nothing in 2 to Hernan Perez. I looked it up a year or 2 ago. I think the only team that ever won a World Series while leading the majors and having been struck out were the 1938 Yankees. I could be wrong by a year, but I think it was the 38 Yankees. And the 0-2 is foul back and out of play.
Of the 15 teams in the National League, they're 9th in runs scored. So when you talk about what you said with the strikeouts and how many outs they're giving away without putting the ball in play, they're getting the job done a little bit when they put it in play. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement.
Oh, and 2. Fan at the railing, had the ball in his hand, and he dropped it. Whoops. They're more embarrassed than he is. Oh, and 2 to Hernan Perez. Little comebacker. Actually, it's Grandal speeding out to make the play. Lucroy goes to third, 2 out. See, that's a perfect example. On 2 strikes, he put the ball in play. Something happened, not much. He at least got the runner to third. He swings and misses, and it's 2 out, and the runner's still at second.
Grandal made a nice play coming out. Julio would have not been able to make that play. Maybe a right-handed pitcher would have had a little easier throw pouncing on it, but do or die, and Grandal got it done.
Now Jake Elmore making his Brewers debut, called up today from Colorado Springs. 1 ball, no strikes. Brewers hitting .320 with a couple of home runs. Played 57 games out down there, and he was a minor league free agent signing in the spring. 1-1. That's Lucroy at third with 2 out. Led off the inning with a double to center. Two balls and a strike. And Keon Broxton is on deck. Kirk Neuenhuis is on deck to pinch hit if the inning is extended. Now 3-1.
We're looking at 98 pitches, and the strategy always is to win the game, but also to get the youngster up the tunnel with a very positive feeling from an outstanding outing. Only 2 hits so far tonight. Got a chance to get his first big league W. Already has his first big league hit, and he has thrown the ball very, very well, other than a few walks that he has spotted through the lineup.
The Liberatore is warming up in the bullpen, and the left-handed hitting Neuenhuis on deck. So you figure that will be the confrontation should Elmore get aboard. 3-2.
Yasmani Grandal went out to the mound before this last pitch and just kind of calmed the youngster down. And I think he saw a little bit of an overthrow, and he kind of overthrew it so much he lost his footing when he delivered the ball. He said, come on, you got good stuff. There's only a few pitches in this game left for you. Just pour it right in there and trust your stuff.
And the next one will be his 100th. With Luke Roy leading off third, 2 out in the bottom of the 6th. Seager, the backhand. That'll do it. Urias, his night is done. And the Dodgers lead it 6-2 as we head to the 7th. Well, this is a night, if all goes according to Hoyle, that Julio Urias will never forget. Worthy of a Carl's Cam look back on the night that was. Urias goes 6 innings, 2 runs, 2 hits, 6 strikeouts, 6 walks. Oh, and all along the way, he also had his first big league hit. And he drove in his first big league run. So now it's going to be up to the Dodger bullpen to get through the final third of the game. And Urias sitting back and getting congratulations from his manager and his mates. Blaine Boyer is the new pitcher for the Brewers as we head to the 7th, and Gonzalez checks his swing and fouls it into the dirt. So what was your impression about it?
He threw the ball very, very well. He was effectively wild. You say that because he was able to pitch around most of the walks. It was exciting to watch him get his first hit, and I think be a great sending off if this is the last start he gets, but when they move him into the bullpen, for him to get his first big league W and have a really good feeling about what's going on.
Gonzalez is 3 for 3. He was going through the longest month of June of his career. He comes to Miller Park, where he's a 400 hitter lifetime, and he's hit the ball right on the schnoz 3 times. He's also been hit by a pitch. The way he's hitting, the dress code may spread.
The Charo might be a new Dodger road uniform. far as what we wear on the plane.
Trace Thompson has a hit. Stolen base. Milwaukee's been struck out. He takes low. 1 ball, no strikes. After a hot and humid, sometimes rainy weekend in Pittsburgh, today felt like early fall. Temperature in the 60s. It was just lovely. Thompson with a squibber. That is called a seeing eye single. And the way it's been going for Thompson, he's more than happy to take it.
Break your bat, lift your average. It barely reaches the outfield grass.
So the Dodgers now first and second, nobody out. And Grandal 0 for 3 and 2 RBIs tonight. A couple of fielders' choices and bounced into a double play. Dodgers and Urias lead by 4. Grandal 6 home runs and 28 runs batted in. Ball and no strikes. Blaine Boyer is the 3rd Brewer pitcher of the night. Brewer bullpen 4.16 ERA. They're 9th in the league. Boyer's ERA is 3.57. Gonzalez at second, Thompson at first, nobody out, top of the 7th. That'll break a bat and advance the runners. There's the first out. Celebrate the 1981 Dodger World Series tri-MVPs. This Saturday, July 2nd, the Dodgers take on the Rockies, and the first 40,000 fans in attendance receive a 1981 tri-MVP bobblehead presented by Security Benefit. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Well, here's Jock Peterson. Singled, walked, scored a run, and has driven in 1 tonight.
Brewers pinch it in, cut the run at the plate.
Nothing in 1. Jock Peterson. Jock knocked in his 33rd run of the year. Back in the 4th inning. Nothing in 2. .246 with runners in scoring position. .237 on the season. Nothing in 2 to Peterson with Chris Taylor on deck. One ball, 2 strikes. One and 2 to Jock Peterson. Clayton Kershaw still with the club. He's flying to Los Angeles tomorrow. His lower back has been giving him some issues, so they want to have him get a full once-over. He's still scheduled to pitch on Friday, so he's not really needed here tomorrow or Thursday, and he can fly at his leisure, and then we'll have a look-see and do whatever it is they need to do. Peterson fouls it back, and so the Dodgers are keeping their fingers crossed.
Scheduled to see Dr. Robert Watkins, who's been with the Dodger organization for a long, long time. Took care of my back when I was a Dodger. I've seen a lot of very famous backs and made sure they're okay. And hopefully we get a good report on Clayton. He'll be able to make his start on Friday.
One ball, two strikes. Second and third. Gonzalez at third and Thompson at second with one gone. Peterson behind third. VR takes charge. That's the second out. And here's Chris Taylor. Tripled yesterday in his first at bat with the Dodgers, and is 1 for 3 tonight. Gonzalez still at third, and Thompson is still at second. And Van Slyke in the on deck circle should Taylor keep the inning going. Libator, who had been warming, sat down and is warming up again. One ball, no strikes. Taylor fouls it back. Big rip. That is 1-1. There's Libator, and boy, he's been on quite a roll. Hasn't allowed a run in his last 18 games, 13 and a third innings. Hasn't given up a run in 5 weeks.
5 Dodger relievers pitched very well yesterday. 4 innings of scoreless ball. Had 6 strikeouts and 2 walks. And Adam was not one of those guys that Dave Roberts needed to use. J.P. Hall was the only lefty that pitched yesterday.
1-1. 1-2. Now remember, the Dodgers don't have another day off until a week from Sunday, the All-Star break. So those bullpen arms have been used and well used. And you hope that they're not overused. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I think the bullpen, I think everybody will look forward to the All-Star break. Hopefully 2 or 3 or 4 of the guys make the All-Star team. Those guys in the pen have earned that time. Did you say the other day that there has not been a Dodger home off day?
Not since the day before opening day, April 11th. The next one will be July 11th. The so-called off days are travel days, non-game days. 7th inning stretch, Dodgers 6-2. Well, the young kids and the old guys have done well for the Dodgers tonight. Urias, the star to this point, 6 innings, 2 runs, 2 hits, and his first big league hit and RBI. Seager again, another big night. Tripled, scored a run, has walked. And then Adrian Gonzalez, Adam Lipitor, gets Kurt Neuenhuis to get out of the way in a hurry.
This is what is known as chin music. They just got done playing a roll out the barrel in between innings here.
Really rolled over Kurt Neuenhuis. So here's Lipitor, as we mentioned. He hasn't given up a run since May 20th. And has tossed scoreless relief in 31 of his 32 outings this year. That's a strike, 1-1. Neuenhuis, born in Southern California, and came up with the Mets. A perfectly positioned Corey Seager. 1 out in the 7th. And now Ramon Flores coming up. Flores, in his first at-bat, came in part of a double switch. Worked out an 11-pitch walk. But the Dodgers have to be just thrilled with the performance of Julio Urias, and once again Corey Seager. Another great night. Flores out of Venezuela, 236, 1 home run and 15 runs batted in. Jonathan Villar is on deck. And there's Seager again, perfectly positioned. 2 out. The Dodgers roadmap and spray charts working to perfection.
I was about to say it was a carbon copy, but I'm not sure what percentage of our audience would know what a carbon copy is.
Now hold on.
What do you say? 60%? 65%?
Wait a 2 out. And Jonathan Villar, 2 strikeouts and a walk tonight. Foul back and out of play, and it's 0-1.
What's the earliest form of music that you collected? 8-track?
Oh no, 45.
45.
Oh yeah. 33.
Before that, nothing. You didn't have a 78.
Oh yeah.
You had a 78. I never had a 78.
78.
From a 45 back to a 33.
And one thing they all had in common, they scratched a lot. And then all of a sudden, when you started hearing tape music, where are all the scratches and hisses?
It's true.
Oh no, yeah, we had 78.
33, 78. I think I saw a 78 record, but I've never heard one play.
That was a pizza. Villar, 6 home runs and 30 runs batted in. And he's been struck out 82 times. It's one of the things that has just been killing this Milwaukee club. Meanwhile, Lipitor just cruising right along, and there's Pedro Baez. Dodger bullpen ERA is the best in the National League, 3.02. An opponent's batting average against them is 200. One and 2 to Villar. We used to go to the record store to buy 45.
Right.
When the Beatles came, you'd wait online for the next album. Villar down on strikes, and a 1-2-3 inning for Adam Lipitor. He continues his scoreless run, and we'll go to the 8th. Honda dealers in-game box score. The only Dodger without a hit tonight is driven in 2. Yasmani Grandal. Seager a triple tonight. Gonzalez hitting over 400 in his career at Miller Park is 3 for 3. Thompson, who had been hitless for a while, has a couple of hits tonight. And Urias with his first big league hit and his first big league RBI. Takes us to the 8th inning, and the Dodgers with a 6-2 lead. Lipitor pitches a perfect 7th inning. This is John Marinez making his 13th appearance for the Brewers, and he is their 4th pitcher of the night. Van Slyke batting for Lipitor. 0-1. Lipitor just needed 10 pitches to retire Milwaukee in order in the 7th. No balls and 2 strikes. Scott Van Slyke. Slick missed 49 games with that back. Four games into the season, it went out on him. One and 2. We'll be back with you tomorrow, and we'll all watch Brock Stewart for the first time together. Dave Roberts, Bob Guerin, Rick Honeycutt. Call strike 3. Van Slyke is down. Follow Dodgers baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. One out, Utley stepping in. Chase is 1 for 4. Chase at 260. And he's had a rugged month of June. Hitting .205 this month. One ball, 1 strike. Marinez can get up there in a hurry. 96.
With some movement.
Kendrick on deck. Dodgers with 2 runs in the 2nd. The Brewers tied it with 2 in the 3rd. But then the Dodgers came up with 3 in the 4th and 1 in the 5th. Thus their 4-run lead. Two and 1. 3 and 1. Dodgers came into the game having won 7 of their last 10. The Brewers having lost 6 of their last 10.
Dave Roberts trying to put the bullpen together to get Julio Urias his first big league win.
Utley works out a walk.
Julio is now shut out these Brewers for 11 innings. His first outing against Milwaukee on the homestand. He got 5 shutout innings against them and left the game up 2-0. But the Brewers came back on the bullpen, made it 2-2, and I think we had a walk-off win on the June 17th, where he got a no decision.
Urias, meanwhile, his ERA is now down to 4.09, a real fine 4.09. Woo.
He's only given up 5 earned runs at the big league level after the first 2 outings. The first 2 outings, they gave up 8 earned runs. Once he got his legs under him and maybe the nerves calmed down a little bit, started to focus in on a few things that Rick Honeycutt was working with him. Boy, he has really turned into be a fine young man and a fine pitcher.
Gave up 6 earned runs to the Cubs in his second outing. Kendrick fouls it off. And has given up 7 earned runs, including tonight, since. So it didn't take long for Julio Urias to become must-see TV. One and 2. Kendrick into center field, and that's going to drop in for a base hit. Utley will hold at second. Dodgers have first and second, 1 out. And Corey Seager coming up. Kendrick's second hit of the night. Dodgers have left 8 men on base tonight. While their lead is 4 runs, it could be a whole lot more.
Yeah, Corey looking to put this one away and really make everybody start to feel good throughout the Dodger lineup. There was enough sting to the beginning of this road trip in Pittsburgh. The Dodgers would love to make the city of Milwaukee a fun place to visit.
They have over the years. Well, they're going to get just 1 out of the play. VR might have been better served just stepping on the bag, but either way, the Dodgers now have second and third and 2 out.
A couple different ways that he might have been able to make that play. Step on the bag by retreating a half a step, or continue through Howie Kendrick, tag, and hope to go bang bang at first. But once you give up on the tag right there, you're not going to return the ball to second base and pick up the double play.
So 2 out. And here's Gonzalez, 3 for 3 tonight, and the Brewers aren't going to mess with him. They would rather face Trace Thompson than Gonzalez, who's 3 for 3 tonight.
If you review the Adrian Gonzalez June timeline, worst month of his career, and after wearing a charo, now being intentionally walked because he's hot.
And looking good.
You look marvelous.
So Gonzalez, the second worst month of his career was April of 2005 when he hit 194. This month coming into the game, he was hitting 188. This is a 290 career hitter we're talking about. Bases loaded, 2 out.
For those of you that missed what Adrian wore on the airplane the other day, Alana told us earlier, the traditional charo of Mexican horsemen.
Well, you're supposed to wear jackets on team flights. Trace Thompson. It's a strike, 0-1.
Custom made for Adrian, right down to the buttons along the side that look like baseballs.
Thompson tonight, 2 hits and a run scored. The bases are loaded and 2 out in the 8th. 0-2. Grandal, the only Dodger without a hit tonight, is knocked in 2 with a couple of fielders' choices. 0-2, 2 out. Broken bat number to third. Hill will take it unassisted, and that's going to do it. No runs, 1 hit, 3 left after 7.5. Dodgers 6-2. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by BMW. See a Southern California BMW Center today for exceptional offers or visit SoCalBMW.com. As we head to the bottom half of the 8th inning, Pedro Baez now on in relief. Adam Lipitor was perfect. Struck out a batter and needed only 10 pitches to get through the Brewers in the bottom of the 7th. And here in the bottom of the 8th, toughest part of their lineup, Aaron Hill, Ryan Braun, and Jonathan Lucroy. Baez, the ERA of 3.28, and opposing hitters hitting 181. The only disconcerting number, the home runs he's given up, 7 in 35 innings.
Part of the 5-man crew yesterday. They came out in the bullpen and threw 4 scoreless.
Well, the first pitch of the 8th inning is whacked into left field off the bat of Aaron Hill. Ryan Braun coming up. Braun tonight has doubled in 3 at-bats, robbed of a base hit by Adrian Gonzalez in the first inning.
Now on a 9-game hitting streak.
Has faced Baez 4 times in his career. He's 0 for 4. Aaron Hill with that base hit, just the second Brewer to have a hit off Baez. And a call strike, 0-1.
Better located fastball right there from Pedro. The first one to Aaron Hill, who's a very good high ball hitter. That first pitch fastball he threw to him was right there in his wheelhouse, but that one down by the knees with a little movement.
Lucroy on deck. Dodgers have out-hit the Brewers 12-3. Maybe 2. Maybe none. Second and third, nobody out on the error by Corey Seager.
We have never seen this from Corey. Nice job recovering right there, but then the throw after the bobble and recovery is offline. He's been so consistent throughout the year, and give him a little bit of grace for making that error. Puts Pedro Baez in a little bit of a bind right here with a 4-run lead, still trying to get Julio Urias his first big league victory.
Joe Blanton beginning to go to work. First base is vacant. You heard the crack of that fastball thrown by Blanton in the bullpen. No balls and a strike to Jonathan Lucroy, who has doubled in 3 at-bats. Lucroy hitting .300. Hit .299 in April, .300 in May, and .299 in June, and hitting .300 at the moment. 10 home runs, 36 runs batted in. One ball, one strike.
First ball of the day from Pedro Baez. 4 pitches before that, all strikes. Nothing under 95 miles an hour.
Rarely is there.
Nope. Unless he's throwing the little breaking ball, and he can keep that above 90 also.
Dodgers lead by 4, trying to come up with 6 outs against the Brewers and take the first game of the series. 1 ball and 1 strike to Lucroy, who 4 years ago became the only catcher in Major League history to have a pair of 7 RBI games in the same season. A grand slam hit in each of those games. Only 5 catchers have ever had 2 7 RBI games in a career, much less the same season. Lucroy keeping pretty good company with Bill Dickey, the Hall of Famer, Smokey Burgess, the old Pirate catcher, Johnny Bench, Ramon Hernandez, and Jonathan Lucroy on 1 and 2. Past a diving Taylor into the left field corner. Hill will score, and so will Braun. And another double for Lucroy, his second of the night. It is 6-4.
Right on cue for the Brewers. Lucroy with one of his patented doubles right down the line. Pull his hands in, gets out in front of a mid-90s fastball. Well hit, finds a hole.
Well, Dave Roberts, who almost always, when he comes out of the dugout, goes to the bullpen. And normally he trots out. Tonight it's a slow executioner's walk. And Baez will give up the ball. And the Brewers have come to within 2 runs. Still nobody out in the bottom of the 8th. as scripted, as the 7th inning did when Ab Libitor faced 3 batters and retired them all and needed 10 pitches to do it. But here in the 8th, Baez has given up a couple of runs, couple of hits. Hurt by the error by Seager. The Brewers have come to within 2. And the 4th leading home run hitter in the National League, Chris Carter, coming up. Tough night at the office for Baez. Blanton's 36th appearance. And opponents are hitting just 143 against him. He has given up 5 home runs. And Peterson crashes into a wall, makes the catch. He's hurt. And in to score from second base is Lucroy. Now 6-5, and the Dodgers have much more to worry about. A spectacular catch. But at what cost? Head trainer Neil Ramp. Attending to the fallen Jock Peterson.
What a spectacular effort by Jock. Catch the ball, hold on to the ball. Remember, the game's still going on, even though you're experiencing that excruciating pain from hitting the wall and then giving the ball up and collapsing.
This is how it happened.
Well, because this is not a home run, because the wall juts out right there, and now that is right in his face. But he does not give ground even when he feels the warning track under his feet.
Right on the right shoulder. The shoulder, collarbone.
That right shoulder took an awful lot of pressure when it hit the wall.
Not moving that right arm at all. Puig is coming into the game, and he'll play in right field, and Trace Thompson will move from right to center. Peterson with just an incredible catch without any regard for his body or the wall, but he is paying for it. Ed Cedar just patted him on the back, and it was probably the last thing in the world Peterson wanted or needed. Meanwhile, the Brewers have scored 3 here in the bottom of the 8th, and it's now a 1-run game. Puig takes over in right. Thompson moves from right to center. and Hernan Perez is stepping in. Games can turn so unexpectedly. Blanton deals. Low 1 ball, no strikes. Storyline through 7.5 innings was Urias and how brilliant he was. First hit, first big league RBI. And Gonzalez had 3 hits. Lipitor was perfect again in the 7th. Baez gives up a couple of hits. The error by Seager. And then the spectacular catch by Peterson. Off the bat of Chris Carter, crashing into the wall in his right shoulder or collarbone, taking the brunt of the force, having to come out of the game. Hernan Perez 1-2. He's 0 for 3 tonight.
Jock doesn't make that catch, Charlie. It could have been an inside the park home run. Yeah. The way the ball would have deflected over to the right center side of center field. It would have at least been a triple, a sure double, and just a completely different game from that catch.
The catch was somewhat reminiscent of the one in San Diego last year, that game-saving catch. And he crashed into the wall in center field in the bottom half of the 9th. Justin Upton he robbed of the game-winning hit. But this one was even more difficult because of the angle of the outfield wall in left center.
And our reaction right now to the catch is a little bit subdued because we're worried about Jock, but if he'd be out there still playing center field after crashing the wall like that and saving the game, a lot more exciting to think about what he's done. But right now, thoughts with him and hope he's okay.
Perez on 3-2. So the tying run is aboard. The lead run comes to the plate. And Jake Elmore just called up today. 0 for 2 and a walk. Hill single to left. Seager made an error on a ground ball and threw it away, allowing Braun to get to second and Hill to third. Lucroy would double them home. Then that 2-base sacrifice fly as Peterson crashed into the wall. So 3 runs are in. The Dodgers were cruising into the bottom of the 8th with a 6-2 lead. Now they're clinging to a 1-run lead. No ball to the strike.
Remember yesterday, Dave Roberts went to Kenley Jansen for a 4-out save to try and break the 3-game losing streak, which the Dodgers did with that 5-4 victory over Pittsburgh. Kenley not getting ready yet. Kenley yesterday threw 23 pitches, 16 strikes. Joe Blanton threw 15 yesterday. Had a full inning of zeros with a walk and a strikeout.
But the Dodgers can't keep trotting out 3, 4, 5 relief pitchers every day. They'll play every day until July 10th. And the All-Star break. One ball, one strike. Scooter Gennett is in the on-deck circle. Gonzalez trying to settle down Blanton a little bit. There's Gennett. Ball, a strike, get it out. He went around, according to Toby Bashner. 1-2. Did he? Yep. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and the check swing. Dodgers have out-hit the Brewers 6-5, outscored them 6-5 and out-hit them 12-4. Now they're clinging to a one-run lead. Blanton with a vitally important strikeout. 2 out.
Joe, known for throwing his slider in big situations, sneaks the fastball away by him.
Now Rick Honeycutt is going to go talk to Blanton.
With Scooter up to the plate, they're just going to review the scouting report right here. The other thing that's gone on the last few pitches is that Adrian Gonzalez and Joe Blanton have been on the same page as far as controlling the running game, which they were very adept at doing yesterday with Andrew McCutchen on in the 7th inning. Adrian came in and had a little visit with Joe, and then all of a sudden McCutchen left and they threw him out at second. So a few things to be concerned with right here. Not only the hitter, but the base runner.
Hernan Perez at first. Carlos Sabero is their first base coach. There's Adrian Gonzalez. And Toby Basner is the first base umpire. Jeanette pinch hitting. 0-1. Ramon Flores is on deck. Looking ahead to the Dodger 9th. Grandal, Puig, and Taylor. Peterson injured here in the bottom of the 8th, crashing into the wall. Jeanette takes outside. 1-1. In the top half of the 4th inning in San Francisco, the Giants have a 2-0 lead on the Athletics. Giants with a 7-game lead on the Dodgers. 2-1. Two out, 3 in, bottom of the 8th. Perez leads from first. Now 3-1. Dodgers springing a leak. The Brewers with 3 in the bottom of the 8th have drawn to within 1. That is ball 4.
This pitch is real close. Joe Blanton wants it. Yasmani Grandal thought he framed it correctly. Bellino behind the plate says no, and strike zone says, I agree with you, Mr. Umpire.
Well, Dan Bellino grew up in Chicago. In his 7th big league season, he's 38. He's also a lawyer, past the bar. So take him to court. Ramon Flores. One ball, no strikes. Flores back in the 5th inning when pinch hitting against Urias. Worked out an 11-pitch walk. 1st and 2nd, 2 out. 2 balls and no strikes.
You go from thinking you got squeezed in a walk to throwing a 1st pitch strike that gets called a ball, and now throwing what for sure was a ball. You can't let this inning get away from you. Rick Honeycutt getting on the horn.
Reluctantly. There's a strike. Remember the other night in Pittsburgh. Blanton thought he was squeezed on a pitch, then came up a home run, and a Gatorade tumbler was the victim of all of that. And it gets past Grandal. On his way home is Perez, and he is out at the plate. Perez was off and running with the pitch. Then it kicked past Grandal. He played the ricochet perfectly. Out at the plate with Blanton slapping the tag.
Well, with that carom over here on the first base side, Yasmani takes nice time to give him a good solid feed. Joe Blanton, a great job getting the glove in front of home plate, not on top of home plate. See him reach forward towards third, sacrifice the right foot. Might have gotten spiked a little bit, but you have to get the glove in front of the plate so the runner can't touch it before you tag him, and it looks like he gets it just in time.
Well, Greg Counsell has requested a replay. It's either the end of the inning and the Dodgers maintain a 6-5 lead, or the Brewers have tied the score. Tom Hallion, the fellow with the gray hair, is the crew chief. Dan Bellino, the home plate umpire, is the one who made the call, and they're listening to the folks in New York. It looks like he's out at the plate, but of course we don't get a vote on it.
Here on the center field screen, they just showed a very close replay, and after Adrian Gonzalez, Yasmani Grandal, Howie Kendrick, everybody looked at it. They all walked off the field like New York is going to get this one right. Here's our view in slow-mo. Yeah, the foot never gets to the plate, and the glove is on the heel.
And so we await, but not much longer. He is out at the plate. So the Dodgers can breathe a sigh of relief. The torturous 8th inning has ended, one which included the injury to Jock Peterson. We go to the 9th. It's a 1-run game. based on how the replay on the play at the plate was seen in New York.
From this angle, there's no doubt. Tag, foot finally reaches home, but it's been out for a good 6 inches.
And for the last 5 minutes.
That works also for Joe Blanton and the Dodgers, and Julio Urias still has a 1-run lead with a possible first big league victory.
The undoing, ironically, was that Perez was running with the pitch, and then when it got past Grandal, his eyes got big and his legs got faster, but not fast enough. So it's 6-5. And Grandal, who sprinted back and to his right to get the ricochet off the back wall, threw the strike to the pitcher, who tagged out Perez. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Yasmani Grandal. This is Jacob Barnes making his 10th appearance. A dramatic bottom of the 8th. Grandal down on strikes. Let's look at the play one more time.
Watch Perez. He's stealing, but there's a slight hesitation right there as he comes into the bag, as he gets the read on it. That just a little bit of break and stride coming around third. Really didn't think he was coming to third to make a turn. He was coming to slide in to steal the bag, but when he had to then make an awkward turn, breaking his stride down for the slide, that little hesitation was the difference.
So 1 out, nobody on in the top half of the 9th. And here's Puig's first at bat of the night. And the foul tip gets a piece of Jonathan Lucroy. The Brewers 3 runs, 2 hits, an error, couple of walks. The dramatic play at the plate, and sandwiched in the middle of all of that, a sacrifice fly that would score Jonathan Lucroy from second base when Peterson crashed into the wall. Peterson came off the field, his right arm, shoulder immobile. And Justin Turner is going to come up and pinch hit apparently in the 9th. He takes outside, 2-1.
Yasiel getting the night off tonight until now, when Jock got hurt. Had a great series in Pittsburgh and played every game since he's come off the DL. So Dave Roberts was giving him a night tonight. Forced into duty here.
Barnes at 96, and it's 2-2.
5 for 16 in Pittsburgh was Yasiel. His fastball gets by him. A little bit frustrating that he missed it. Straight and hard. One that he felt like he should have caught up to.
Into right. It's Perez, and that's the second out. And this is Chris Taylor. If he should get on, Turner will pinch hit. Kenley Jansen warming up. No balls and a strike. Chris Taylor, and there's Kenley. Josh Bard standing behind him. Dodgers 6-5 after the Brewers score 3 in the bottom of the 8th. Now it's 0-2 to Taylor. Taylor tonight 1 for 4. Starting at third base. Turner, who's on deck, given the night off until now. Checks his swing, and it's 1-2.
96-mile-an-hour fastballs and an 89-mile-an-hour slider. Hard to hold up, but Chris did it.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Chris Taylor, making his second Dodger start. Two out, top of the ninth. Now the count is full. Six runs, 12 hits for the Dodgers. 5 runs, 4 hits. We hang on to it. Yep, foul tipped it into the glove of Lucroy. That will do it, and that will signal the arrival of Kenley Jansen. When we come back, he'll be in search of his 23rd save of the year.
Major League Baseball win, guys.
Well, you got a lot on your plate tonight, Alana. There's a lot of stories around this 6-5 game as we go to the bottom of the ninth. Now the most important story is Kenley Jansen making his 34th appearance in search of his 23rd save. He'll be facing Ramon Flores, Jonathan Villar, and Aaron Hill. And then if anybody gets on board, you're looking at Ryan Braun.
There's no one more aware than Kenley Jansen how important these 3 outs are for Julio Urias. The night that Eric Gagne was there to honor Kenley when he became the all-time Dodger save leader.
Flores is walking, grounded out, takes a strike, 0-1.
Kenley got an opportunity that night to get another save, and he knew more than anybody that this wouldn't be an appropriate time to blow a save. He is the strong, sensitive type.
0-2. Jansen has faced VR, the on-deck hitter, once, got him. But Aaron Hill, who's batting third in this inning, is 5 for 12, 417 against Jansen. You're wondering about Braun, who's going to come up if anybody gets on. 0 for 4 against Jansen. Dodgers nursing a precarious one-run lead, bottom of the ninth. 1-2. Giants leading their game against Oakland 4-1 in the fifth. Flores, a .235 hitter. That's the first out of the ninth.
Dominant fastball, goes with the four-seamer, doesn't worry about the cut action, just beats him to the spot.
Dodgers 2 outs away. VR tonight has walked and been struck out 3 times. VR has 6 home runs on the season, switch hitter. Beaten at 91 miles an hour, and it's 0-1. VR hit a home run off Baez a week ago Thursday, and that was the difference in the Brewers' 8-6 victory at Dodger Stadium. But Jansen quickly ahead, 0-2. Aaron Hill on deck. Dodgers have outscored the Brewers 6-5, outhit them 12-4. VR, a .295 hitter. It's 1-2, a slider. VR came over from the Astros. Had Carlos Correa over there, so there was no room for VR, a fine player in his own right. One ball, 2 strikes. 1 out, bottom of the ninth. Jansen's 8th pitch of the inning. 2-2.
No free passes to a speedster. Kenley got to go right after him here with the next 2 pitches, even if he misses and goes 3-2.
Two balls, 2 strikes. VR strikes out swinging. 2 out in the ninth.
Twice Kenley has gone up the ladder with just the four-seamer blazing by these guys. We've seen tonight fastballs well located by Urias on the inner half have gone by these Brewer hitters, and Kenley Jansen sticking with the same pattern.
Aaron Hill 1 for 3, 2 runs scored. Hill has 7 home runs on the year and 5 for 12 in his career against Jansen's popped up in the middle of the diamond. Who's going to call it? Seager. That's going to do it. Kenley Jansen with his 23rd save of the year, saving Julio Urias' first big league win. And the Dodgers win in dramatic fashion, edging the Brewers 6-5 on a night also in which Jock Peterson injured his right shoulder or collarbone, making a spectacular catch in center field. But the play of the game came in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Joe Blanton on in relief. Perez attempting to steal third. Pitch got past Grandal. The throw to Blanton at the plate, and he was out. That was the difference between a 6-5 win and what might have been a 6-6 tie. So the Dodgers win their 43rd